As we near the end of our debates on these two bills, it is obvious now what is the demarcation line between that side of the House and this side of the House. Government has come forward with a clear message. We have been since, let us say, beginning of February, in a sanitary emergency. This has gone on, and we are still under threat. We can have a resurgence, and being a small country, we must protect ourselves. The health of our citizens comes first. But at the same time, we have to keep the balance with the economy, making sure that our citizens can earn their living and not face the threat of unemployment, so that our economy does not face the threat of recession. And I've been following the private notice questions of the leader of the opposition, as well as the answers of the ministers of finance, and I think all this is very clear to the population. On the other side, the opposition is united in its message. We have just heard the speech of the first member for constituency number 19. What do they say? We haven't had any case for the last so many days. We are no longer in a state of emergency. Let us relax everything. And these two bills are a prétexte. Et le chantre de cette proposition n'est nul autre que le premier député de la circonscription numéro 3, qui vient vous dire que lui, il a une base scientifique pour étayer ses arguments. Et ça, c'est très très bien d'avoir trouvé ça pour l'opposition. Parce qu'avant, il y avait, à part le verbiage, là, il y a quelque chose de scientifique. R est égal 0,1. Vous vous rappelez là? Et quand il le dit, vous croyez, vous entendez le docteur Go devant vous, an armchair virologist speaking to us and telling us there is nothing wrong in this country. Why are you doing this? That is the thesis of the opposition. But of course, where does the honourable first member get this R equals 0.1? It is from Boris Johnson, who was the first one to talk about it in his recent press conference, which was aired on the BBC. I heard about it on the 2nd of February. It was a Sunday. The Prime Minister, on the eve we had a function, told me there is going to be an urgent meeting the next day at his office. Nobody likes going to see the Prime Minister on a Sunday morning. We went, and there we met the representative of the World Health Organization, who explained to us this famous curve, that we were going to have 1,000 or 2,000 people because our formula was R equal 5. I didn't know what was R, I didn't bother to ask, but he explained, and I heard the first member of number 3 again repeating it, but in a more learned way than the representative of the World Health Organization. So we have the predictions. This is why they tell us. Why are you curtailing shift allowance? You have an agenda, annual leave, scheduled sectors, Employment Relations Act, Bank of Mauritius, Pharmacy Act. All this is whitewash. Because 2 is equal 0.1. And that is the theory of the opposition. And we are removing workers' rights. But there is one thing, Mr. Speaker. We were the ones to introduce these measures, negative income tax, pensions, old age pensions, minimum wage. And when we withdraw, we have explained that this is a time where temporary measures must be taken. I take the opportunity of denying in the strongest terms possible the allegations made by the first member for constituency number 3, that I was the one to insist on the provisions on the workers' rights, and I wrote it myself, as if the Prime Minister has nothing to do with it. The Prime Minister works, and I've been working with him. I've worked with 3 Prime Ministers. He works in consultation with his team, and I've learned a lot from this method of working. And these 2 bills, like so many others, were discussed. Everybody put his contribution, and we came with the bills which are there. There is an agenda, of course, behind what the honourable member said. I am surprised, however, that he got support from a very unexpected quarter, the honourable member for constituency number 12, who said, oh no, that has been written by the DPM because he wants the employees of CWA to lose their jobs. I don't know where he got it from. I hope he's not blindly following what his colleague is telling him, his party colleague is following, and I hope he did it in the true spirit of demagogy which we have seen in the course of these debates, and if that is so, it is thoroughly excusable. That is also not true. I have given sufficient guarantees on water sector reform to be able to spare myself an explanation on this matter. Nothing has happened since February. The whole world is tumbling down. But as the Honourable First Member for number 19 has said, the whole population was disciplined. They supported us, our actions, except for 2 or 3, I call them the 2 wonder boys, who tried to distill dissatisfaction in the population. Quarantine period. I remember the Minister of Health, when we started this issue, he was amazed at the extent of his powers under the Quarantine Act, which is still in force today as I speak. The persons in charge were accountable to nobody. Now, it is public and transparent. First of all, the minister must make an order which is published in the Government Gazette as a general notice, which is subject to a motion of disallowance, but which is also subject to judicial review or whatever legal action which may be undertaken. Yes, we can go to court and challenge the decision and bring Honorable Mohammed as an expert witness to explain that R is equal to only 0.1. And if the court believes him and does not follow what our expert, Dr. Goy and Dr. Jumai and Dr. Gajada are saying, so be it. There will be a judge to decide. And we have also a quarantine officer who is a doctor. He will be in charge of people who are put in quarantine. And I come to what has become the only argument which the opposition has. Too many powers, they say, put in the hands of government. Let us be clear. A quarantine person is not a person who is ill. A person who is ill goes to hospital, not to quarantine. So he is a person who is not a very happy person to be stuck in a hotel. So this person has a natural tendency, not all, small number of people who become rowdy, and sometimes it gets out of hand. And there is, in section 9 and 10, the duty to disclose information and to provide information. Let us imagine I'm taking an hypothetical case. A person comes from abroad. He has the coronavirus. He manages to go through the Ministry of Health at Sasiu Sagaram Gulam Airport. He goes to see his family, his relatives, hugs them, kisses them, brings them gifts, goes to a supermarket in Rosebell, takes a caddy, goes back home. He knows he's got it because he's coughing. And he comes from England where people have been explaining what it is. But he doesn't say a word about it. He goes to see a doctor when he's ill. The doctor questions him. And he says, no, I've never traveled. The doctor lets him go. And the doctor goes to meet other patients and other doctors until 4 or 5 days later he starts having the symptoms and he says, oh my God, I've got it. This person, you finally take him, you bring him to court. You tell him, under the Quarantine Act, you have given an untrue answer. What is the fine? 1,000 rupees. At that supermarket in Rosebell, a young girl of 20 has gone there. She also bought a ration. She falls ill. She thinks she's got the flu. When she goes to hospital, it's too late. She dies. The brother of this guy dies. So many people die because of him. And you give him 1,000 rupees fine because that is the law today. 1,000 rupees fine in 1953, as Honorable Attorney General was saying, at a time when a laborer was earning 20 rupees, 10 rupees perhaps. Today, but of course it is a court which will decide. This chap, he would go 2 years in prison because the law now punishes him. But of course, if somebody has committed a very small offense, the magistrate will give him 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees. But we need to give sufficient powers to our courts of law in order to empower our system of law. And as the Attorney General has explained, as my colleague, the first member, the Honourable Minister for Transport has explained, there are no additional powers. I heard the first member for number 19 say that. I heard Honourable Yutim say that. No additional powers. The first member for number 3 was very careful not to mention it. But Honourable Yutim thought perhaps that we didn't know. But the Quarantine Act, for 60 years, police have had the power to arrest a person without warrant. And let me, if I'm walking with Honourable Toussaint, I see a man trying to snatch the purse of an old lady. I am not entitled, perhaps me, no, I wouldn't dare, but if I'm with Honourable Toussaint, I'm courageous, I'm brave. Wouldn't I arrest this chap and bring him to the police station? I've got the power to do it. And a police officer doesn't have the power. This is demagogy. And fortunately, there are some good, honest people of this country who have fallen into that trap. But I hope that we are able to redress that balance and to explain that this is not what the opposition tries to make us believe. Very quickly, let me say one thing, one or two things. Homage to the young. Yes, they have stayed indoors, they haven't gone to school, they haven't had their friends, except on Skype or whatever it is. No bicycle, it's been tough, no entraînement. We think of the young. We think of the women of this country who have had to hold that household together for all this time. I listened to the speech of Honourable Antil. There is a particular situation on domestic violence. I am very impressed by the fact that she did a non-partisan speech, but for a very specific cause. I talked to my colleague, the minister, who is acutely aware of that situation. She's put 24-hour services on at the ministry. There are 2 NGOs who have agreed to accept women in their shelters, because how do they do that? With coronavirus, with social distancing. All this has got to be done. I heard the Honourable First Member for constituency number 16 about visitation rights. Universal problem. Universal, let me congratulate her. It was first intervention in Parliament. I don't like this term, maiden, wholly inappropriate for her especially. She's had a very happy event. Let me congratulate her and wish her many more to come. And I hope that she will continue in that strain in our Parliament. People are not upset, as Honourable Bagwan and Honorable Mohammed tried to make it out. That without the curfew, people would have been on the streets. That people are upset because they receive their pensions on their doorsteps. People are upset because Mrs. Doriawu is organizing all these distributions of rations. People are upset because vaccination. People are upset. I don't see that. Clearly, they are disconnected with their own constituency. That is the issue. Now, we won't need any protective equipment. We won't require any protection. We won't require any helmet. Our protection is our sincerity. This is what is protecting us. There. And let us say, and what we are doing, we are giving the frontliners the powers, the means. We are giving the frontliners the means to protect themselves, to protect society, to protect our country in order for us to become a prosperous, high economy country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.